I get it. We all love watching the really fun stuff, the classic cars, the expensive luxury cars, and everything else that we love to dream about. But the reality is, a car like this is something that we can all afford. Our spotlight today is on this 2018 Hyundai Elantra GT Sport with the 6-speed manual transmission. This is actually a car that you guys requested that we feature. Now, like all the other vehicles we do feature that have a manual transmission in, you can't get it fully loaded. But I think for about 27,000 Canadian, this comes pretty well equipped. So we're going to be showing you all the features and everything you need to know if you're in the market for a compact hatchback. So I think this is a very interesting vehicle because the Elantra sedan is actually quite different from the Elantra GT. Both inside and out, they're quite different. Now, one of the things that you can tell right away that this is the GT, especially the Sport, are the vertical orange LED running lights at the bottom. I think they look very nice. In fact, it gives it a very distinct look in the sea of white LEDs that we usually find on pretty much every other car. Now, it has a triple projector system here with LED headlights. To give you a little bit better visibility, we'll be doing some night testing with this car as well, because it's one of the things that we usually complain about are smaller vehicles having less powerful headlights. So we're going to be taking a look at those. But aside from that, there's nothing else on the front. There's no forward collision stuff. All of that is reserved if you go for the dual clutch transmission version of this vehicle. So you're pretty much out of luck, but for the most part, this is what you expect if you're getting a manual car. Now, moving around the rest of the vehicle, no power folding mirrors. You do have proximity access on the front doors to be able to get in. And we'll talk about the roof afterwards because there's something that you might not have been aware of there. And then around back, I think it looks pretty decent. You have your lights at the top, LED tail lights, and then you've got your reflectors just a little bit below. And you have a regular lift gate. It's not power, but I think it's got a pretty good size here if you need your umbrella and it's raining out. You've got plenty of space for that, obviously. You can have a little fun in the sun, but you do have quite a bit of space in the back for all your other luggage and groceries. And underneath the floor is your spare tire and a pretty decent emergency roadside toolkit. Now, like I said, when we jump inside of the Elantra GT, you really can tell that it is different. So take a look online, go take a look at the sedan version. You'll see that it really is a completely different interior up here. Now, some of the changes are this tablet style screen up here. It is an 8-inch and it has SiriusXM Radio, which is pretty good. And you have your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can stream your navigation system to that without any issue. Now, the one thing I was pretty surprised about, actually two things that I was surprised about, it does have dual zone automatic climate control up front, which is quite nice. You don't usually find that in the compact market here, so it is nice to have. And the thing that really surprised me was the panoramic sunroof up top. I don't think of any other car in this segment that has one. So I think it's really nice, brings in a ton of light, and then obviously you can close it up if you want to, but I like to have it open, and you can even open up the top part of it to really let in not only a ton of air, but also more light too. I think it's a really nice feature, especially if you're looking at this maybe as your first new purchase car, then you might really be excited about features like that. The space here is pretty decent for a compact car. You've got cup holders in the middle, your parking electronic brake, which again is something that I wasn't really expecting. I was hoping it to be a manual one, but you do have an electronic brake there. And really the only enhanced safety feature here that you get is blind spot monitoring, which is not too bad on a car like this because again, often we find with the manuals, you don't get anything like that. Rear seat space isn't too bad. If you have a family of 3, maybe you might be content with it. My 4-year-old is able to fit back there without any issue, but I think if you were getting adults in there, you might have a little bit of horizontal space issue. Not so much with the vertical. With that panoramic sunroof, you actually do get quite a bit of space, so it isn't too bad overall, but you might be thinking about getting something a little bit bigger if you have a bigger family. Now, it's interesting because we do find that much like the larger mid-size sedans that still offer a manual, which there are few of them left, and you can pour one out for the Mazda 6, the 2018 model no longer has the option for a manual. You are relatively limited to what features you can get in the vehicle. But we did find that with this car, as equipped, this is fully loaded if you want the 6-speed. You do have blind spot monitoring, and that's really the only enhanced safety feature. If you did go up to the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission with the same engine, you can have a lot more tech. You can have forward collision warning, radar cruise control, all sorts of different tech, as well as heated and ventilated front seats. So you do get more if that's what you want. And it's interesting because we found that the Mazda 3 hatchback has all the options with the 6-speed manual. Same thing with the Honda Civic. You can get pretty much everything you want still with the manual transmission. And on top of that, there is no real performance version of this car. I mean, it is a very quick car. 201 horsepower with 195 foot-pounds of torque is certainly pretty quick compared to something like the Mazda 3 that we featured. But if you want more power out of it, Honda Civic Type R, Ford Focus RS, or Ford Focus ST, you can certainly get those. So there are more performance-oriented models. If you want a car that doesn't have all the bells and whistles and isn't the quickest in terms of top performance, but still good enough, then the Elantra might be for you. And it's been quite enjoyable to drive around. I really do like the styling of it. I do like the drive. It is pretty firm for a compact car. I find that the shifts are pretty smooth here. Clutch is nice. And overall, it is enjoyable to drive around. I think for a lot of people, this could be a good first new car. If you think back 10 years to whatever the Honda Civic would have had, probably would have had heated seats, and power windows at the most at the top trim. But you take a look at this today for $26,000, okay, maybe a little bit more than what you would have been paying 10 years ago for something, but you do get quite a bit. I gotta say, I really do like the infotainment system here. The fact that you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is nice. There's no built-in navigation, but if you're like me, you have a phone, you just plug it in and use that the whole time. I really love the panoramic sunroof on this. I think it is a nice feature. So there are certainly a lot of things that are compelling about this car, and the fact that you can still get it with a 6-speed manual is a big plus. A good friend of mine asked me on Instagram what the fuel economy, or real-world fuel economy, is like on this car. Now, I haven't driven it as much as I probably would have liked to. We're only at about 174 kilometers as of filming this, so it probably isn't a great idea of fuel economy. We have gotten it up to 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers, which isn't bad, but it also isn't great either. And I think it's because we are doing a lot of local driving just in between the town here. We haven't really gone too far. The number would probably go down quite a bit if I were to take it back to Montreal. So even though the real world as of today, mostly city driving, it's not stop and go, it's just 50 kilometer an hour speed limits, we're averaging 7.9. I will add the final results to the end of this segment when we talk about our likes and dislikes, so you can get an idea of how much we probably saved by going back to Montreal, which is another 120 kilometers. So that does add quite a bit to our total driving of this vehicle. As far as we're concerned here at Test Drive, the compact sedan and hatchback market is crucial to our viewers, as they're affordable, offer plenty of features, and often come well equipped for the manual enthusiasts out there. The styling of the Elantra GT is very good. In fact, we parked next to a 2018 Mazda 3 hatchback over the weekend and found ourselves preferring the rear end of the Hyundai. The front orange LED lights are also a nice touch for the sport model to distinguish it from the rest of the lineup. Nighttime driving was also good, with the dual LED headlight projectors up front and LED high beams giving this car some top safety points in our books. Inside, the panoramic sunroof was an enjoyable surprise, along with the unique interior over the Elantra sedan. However, we were disappointed with the overall fuel economy in town, getting up to 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers before we started our trip back to Montreal, which only adjusted us back down to 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers for a total of 400 kilometers during our week. The electronic parking brake isn't enjoyable to use, especially if you need it when starting from a stop on a hill, but perhaps I'm just not ahead with the changing tech found on other manual transmissions for 2018. Now I'm going to also add the available features as a dislike, only because the car is equipped with the fully loaded model if you want to keep that 6-speed manual here in Canada. As mentioned during our road test, the Honda Civic Hatch Sport Touring and Mazda 3 GT with premium packages both offer all the safety tech and enhanced features like premium audio along with their 6-speed manuals. But perhaps Hyundai is planning to bring over the Elantra GTN to compete with the likes of the Honda Civic Type R or Ford Focus RS. Or not. Overall, this was an enjoyable compact hatch to drive around as a daily driver. This would be a great first new car for a lot of people, but also for any buyers looking for something just a little bit different. Thanks for watching this episode of Test Drive Spotlight on the 2018 Hyundai Elantra GT Sport. Hit that thumbs up button if you liked the video, and let us know in the comments below if you'd take this over the competition. As mentioned, this car was requested by some of our viewers, so if there's a new vehicle you'd like us to feature, please let us know, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Until next time, take care.